Let me show you a number that should not be possible for a game like this. On a single day, more than 25 million people were playing one game at once. Not across a whole month. At the very same moment, 25 million players together. That is more than Fortnite ever pulled at its absolute peak back in 2020. The game is called Steal a Brainrot, and it lives inside Roblox. And the strangest part is what this entire game is actually built on. It runs on AI-generated nonsense memes that began as a throwaway joke on TikTok. So today, we trace how internet garbage became the most played game on the planet. Stay with me, because almost nothing about this story should have worked on paper. To understand the game, you first have to understand the dumbest trend of 2025. Early that year, a strange kind of meme quietly took over TikTok and Shorts. People call it Italian brainrot, and that name is somehow the most sensible part. The word brainrot means content so dumb it feels like it melts your mind. The formula behind it is simple. Take an animal, fuse it with a food or object, then give the creature a fake Italian name and a dramatic AI-generated voiceover. The result is a flood of surreal characters that mean absolutely nothing at all. The whole point was that it made no sense, and somehow that was the appeal. One of the first was Trallalero Tralala, a three-legged shark wearing running sneakers. Another was Bombardero Crocodilo, a crocodile fused with a military bomber plane. There were dozens more, with names like Ballerina Cappuccina and Chimpanzini Bananini. Almost all of them were generated by artificial intelligence, both the images and voices. There was no studio, no artist, no real plan, only machines and a viral joke. The voiceovers were fake Italian gibberish, describing each creature like an epic legend. Each one came with its own absurd backstory, and fans expanded the lore for fun. Children traded these characters like cards, ranking them by how rare they felt. To older viewers, it looked like pure chaos. To millions of kids, it was hilarious. It was the kind of trend adults could not explain, and did not need to. It was loud, it was stupid, and it was perfectly shaped for endless short videos. It was the purest example yet of machine-made culture going fully mainstream. And it was free, infinite, and impossible to ignore once it found you. Within just a few weeks, these strange creatures were absolutely everywhere across the entire internet. Nobody watching this trend imagined it would become the foundation of anything serious. Then, in May of 2025, one developer turned that nonsense into a game. His online name is Spider Sammy, and his idea was almost insultingly simple. To understand it, you have to know the kind of game Roblox players love. Roblox is less a single game and more a giant arcade of player-made worlds. Anyone can build an experience, and the best ones can reach tens of millions. For years, the platform's biggest hits were simple tycoon and collecting simulators. You gather things, those things make money, and that money buys better things. Sammy took that exact loop and poured the Brainrot characters straight into it. You collect the mean creatures, and each one slowly generates cash for you. The twist is right there in the title. You can steal other players' characters. So you build a collection while defending it from everyone running past your base. There is no story, no deep skill, no lesson. Just grab, run, and protect. Remember, Roblox is free to play and packed with young, trend-hungry players. They were online daily, hungry for whatever felt new, loud, and shareable. A meme exploding on TikTok can land inside a Roblox game within days. Steal a Brainrot caught that exact wave at the perfect possible moment in time. At launch, almost nobody played it. The game started quiet and very slow. Then big YouTubers like Infinite and Foltine began making videos about the chaos. Clips of the chaos racked up millions of views, pulling even more players in. Every new video became an advertisement the developer never even had to pay for. And that is the moment the numbers stopped behaving like a normal game. In early July, the game crossed 1.5 million players at once. Just over a week later, that number had already jumped past 5 million. By the 1st of August, it hit 10 million players in a single moment. Read those dates again. That entire climb happened in weeks, not years. The server strained as millions poured in faster than almost anyone expected. And it did not stop at 10 million. It kept doubling toward the impossible. Eventually, Steal a Brainrot passed more than 25 million players at the same time. That made it the only game in history to ever cross that milestone. It beat Fortnite, it beat PUBG, it beat every traditional game ever measured. Sit with that. A game about stealing AI sharks outdrew the biggest titles on Earth. Part of the magic was the creator himself, playing a chaotic in-game villain. Sammy would appear with a red avatar and trigger wild events, called admin abuse. He spawned rare characters, caused mayhem, and gave players reasons to keep watching. What looked like a simple cash grab was actually tuned with surgical precision. Every rare character became a status symbol that players desperately wanted to own. And losing one to a thief stung just enough to pull you right back in. But here's the part most people completely missed about this success. Only about 3 weeks after launch, the game was quietly bought by a company. That company is called Do Big Studios, and the name is worth remembering here. Because Do Big is also tied to Grow a Garden, another record-breaking Roblox game. For a while, Grow a Garden held the all-time record at over 20 million players. Then, Steal a Brainrot, connected to the same studio, came along and broke it. In other words, the two biggest games on the planet trace back to one company. Exact earnings stay private, but trackers estimate the game pulls in millions of dollars. The simplicity was not laziness. It was the entire reason it spread so fast. So the obvious question is simple. Why did this dumb little game work so well? The answer is a loop that seems almost perfectly designed to keep you hooked. The loop borrows from gambling, social games, and old-school trading cards at once. Each session promised a small thrill, and the brain quietly learned to crave it. Every character you own earns money, even while you are away from the screen. That cash buys rarer characters, which earn more, which you then have to defend. And because anyone can steal from you, you can never fully relax for long. Picture that tension for a second. Constant reward, constant risk, almost no calm. On top of that, the team runs chaotic live events, handing out rare creatures. The rarest characters were limited, so missing an event could mean missing out forever. That fear of missing out kept millions checking the game every single day. Now, add the secret weapon that was hiding quietly underneath all of it. The characters themselves are basically free to make and almost endless to create. Because they are machine-generated memes, the supply of new content never runs dry. No art team, no animators, no licensing fees, just an endless stream of creatures. For the studio, the model was close to a perfect business machine. That same trick soon spawned dozens of copycat games chasing the exact formula. Most of them failed, but together they proved how powerful the idea had become. An entire little economy grew around stealing, trading, and collecting these memes. And that finally leads to the strangest single question in this entire story. If the whole game runs on these characters, then who actually owns them? The unsettling answer is that, legally speaking, almost nobody clearly owns them at all. They were generated by AI and spread by thousands of anonymous accounts online. There is no single artist to credit, and no clear owner to pay. The confusion grew so real that even Fortnite released its own Brainrot-style skin. That move reignited a loud debate about who can profit from machine-made characters. So you have a billion-view trend powering a record game owned by no one. And that leaves us with a few quiet observations worth holding on to. First, the most played game in history is built on memes a machine generated. Second, its success came not from art or story, but from a loop and a trend. Third, the characters that power it belong to everyone and to no one at once. And fourth, the same quiet studio now sits behind two record-breaking Roblox games. We are watching the rules of what makes a hit quietly rewrite themselves. A trend, a loop, and a machine outperformed decades of traditional game design. None of this makes the game good or bad. It simply makes it a landmark. For better or worse, this is what going viral now looks like at full scale. The next record breaker may not come from a studio at all, but from a feed. A joke a machine made became the most crowded place in all of gaming. If stories like this one interest you, consider subscribing to the channel. That way, you will not miss the next strange story that we uncover.